George Romero, the grandfather of the zombie genre and the main boss fight of Call of the Dead. The Margwa, the Apothecon menace and the main boss fight of Shadows of Evil, and a recurring threat on Revelations. Who wins the fight between these two? Let's find out. So what's going on, guys? It's Lewis or the Gaming Rift, and I'm welcoming a new series to the channel called Boss Battles, where we take your favourite characters from a specific video game, put them against each other and see who would win in a fight. Now keep in mind, guys, we're going off of gameplay only. We're not going off of lore or storyline or anything like that, because that would just get too complicated. We're just going off what you see in gameplay. If you like the idea of boss battles and if you enjoy COD Zombies content, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Show some support to the Twitch where we stream zombies and a variety of other games, that'd be great. Now let's get to the breakdown. I'm going to be comparing these monsters' strength, durability, speed, intelligence, and hacks and abilities to see who would win a fight if these two were to actually clash within the COD Zombies universe. Starting things off with strength, I think that George is very underrated when it comes to strength. His main weapon is a staged spotlight, which, keep in mind, not only is it the size of a person, roughly, even bigger, however these things can weigh upwards of 45 kilograms, which is more or less the same that I weigh, if a little bit less, and obviously as well his roar alone is capable of shaking the ground, which is quite impressive. But let's be honest, the Margwa is the stronger one of the two. Now, let's looking at gameplay. The Margwa can down you quicker than George can. George, I believe it takes 3 hits to kill with Juggernog, whereas the Margwa, it takes 2. He can one-shot you if you don't have Jug, and the zombie shield will do little to protect you from him. Not to mention, even in his calm state, he is still capable of making the ground shake with his footsteps, to the extent that when he's in his rage mode and he's charging after you, it sounds as though the Indian Ocean earthquake is happening right inside your gaming console. The Margwa is undeniably the stronger one of the two. I don't think this is a surprise to anyone. Moving on to durability, and you may think that the Margwa has the advantage in durability, as on one hand his body is completely immune to all forms of player inflicted damage, right? Well, not really. His durability is very inconsistent, where yes, he's immune to weapons like the Apothecon Servant, and you know, his alien-esque hide is very durable and damn near invincible to attacks. However, he's also got quite a lot of weaknesses. The Thunder Gun is capable of one-shotting the guy. The Guard of Fafnir from, Revelations is capable of bodying him without much difficulty. The Civil Protector, just by spawning in, is capable of one-shotting the Margwa. Let's not forget as well, he has 3 specific weak spots, those being his 3 heads. With all of them being pretty weak, you can take them out even with low-end weaponry like the RK5, the Shiva, even the starting pistol if you're good enough. So I do think that works against the Margwa. George, on the other hand, I mean, this guy is a tank. You can shoot at him with any weapon you like. For an eternity, he will not go down. Yes, he does have specific weaknesses, such as the Dragunov, the VR11, and to an extent, the Scavenger. However, even so, infinite damage wonder weapons will not slow him down for very long. You have the Wonderwaffe, which is largely ineffective against George. You have the VR11, where one of its specific functions is to counter George, yet he's still able to overpower it if he's in his rage mode. It will take him out of the rage mode for about 10 seconds, but he will immediately go back into it once that 10 seconds is up. Infinite damage wonder weapons really don't do that much to him, compared to the Margwa, where the Thunder Gun is capable of one-shotting him. Not even the Death Machine will do very much to George. He's undeniably the most durable one of the two. Not to mention, he's potentially immortal, as when you quote-unquote kill him, it doesn't matter, he'll just be back immediately in the next round as if nothing happened. George, definitely the most durable of the two, no question about that. I don't want to touch on speed too much, as there's really no differentiation between the two. They both run at roughly the same speed, they're at the same speed roughly in their calm state. They attack at roughly the same speed. I'd be fine if you said that George was a little faster, the Margwa was a little faster, or they tied. But realistically, there's not a big gap between speed between these two powerhouses, so I would say that speed is a tie. Now, intelligence is quite interesting, because on one hand, George Romero is undeniably the smarter one of the two. He's literally the godfather of the zombie genre. He knows a shit ton about the zombie genre, and this will benefit him a lot in the fight, as he indirectly inspired the creation of the Margwa itself. He will see the 3 heads, know immediately that those are its weak spots, and he will take advantage of the weakness of the Margwa. However, the Margwa's intelligence is a bit questionable, whether he's like just a brainless, mindless, drone, if you like, or if he is a puppet for the Shadow Man, because obviously if the Shadow Man's intelligence is controlling him, then yes, the Shadow Man would be smarter than George. However, I don't think that to an extent intelligence is going to matter too much in this fight. You got to keep in mind characters like Nero and especially Richtofen, characters with almost a universal level of intelligence within the COD Zombies verse, their intelligence is no match for the might of the Margwa. So even though I think George will recognize his weakness and be able to exploit it, intelligence alone isn't getting him through this fight. Still, an undeniable clear advantage to George. For George's hacks and abilities, he's got his stage light weapon, which is capable of generating electricity, and it's unclear if there's any upper limit to the amount of electricity he can generate. He has nigh immortality, he doesn't matter how many times you quote-unquote kill him, he will be back the next round, it doesn't really bother him. He has pretty insane agility for an old man. I know he is an old man, but obviously supernatural. He is capable of using the zip line with no ill effects whatsoever. But aside from that, that's pretty much all he has. He has an insane resistance to cold, sub-zero temperature. Freezing water doesn't do shit to the guy. It does calm him down, but in terms of actually causing him pain, it doesn't really have much in that regard. The Margwa, on the other hand, he has his rage, he gets progressively more aggressive and powerful as you take him down, kind of like a reverse Hulk where he gets stronger the weaker he gets. He can generate teammates to help him fight. Every time one of his heads gets destroyed, a parasite pops out, helps him fight. He has teleportation. It doesn't matter where you are on Shadows or Rev, he will be able to teleport within the vicinity. In terms of both of these guys, they are completely immune to traps. I know that there's no traps on Call of the Dead, but given George's track record, I really don't see how traps would slow him down. The chain trap on Shadows obviously doesn't do shit to the Margwa, and they have very high resistance to specialist weapons. With all this being said, I would say that the Margwa has superior hacks and gear to that of George, even though he has the superior weapon. With all that being said, we have 2 points in favor of the Margwa, 2 points in favor of George, with 1 tie. How do I see this fight going? Well, it's pretty clear that both of these guys would start the fight in their calm state, wouldn't really do much, both of them would rapidly go into their aggressive state, and the Margwa would take the advantage early on with his superior strength. He could knock George around a little bit, maybe ragdoll him, throw him away, that sort of thing. However, I don't think this would do much to the guy. He is a tank. The Wonderwaff doesn't do shit to him. Not even the Death Machine will slow George down. So George would probably just laugh and taunt the Margwa, which wouldn't have much effect as the Margwa isn't really all that bright, but he would still taunt, laugh. He taunts to the player on Call of the Dead, that sort of thing. He would do it here. And I think really it is the intelligence that would give him the edge. His durability is so insane that it would give him time to plan out a combat strategy against the Margwa. He would see rapidly that this guy has 3 heads. He would know from his experience to always go for the head. And it would be a bit of a problem for him to get the advantage over the Margwa due to, again, the superior strength. However, he would eventually, get a direct hit, whether it's with the stage light, whether he punches through the face, or whatever it might be. Yes, he would have to deal with the parasites, but again, his durability is so insane that infinite damage lightning doesn't do shit to the guy. Matter manipulation, technically, from the VR11, doesn't do shit to the guy, it barely phases him. I very much doubt that the acid from the parasites will slow him down. The Margwa will get progressively more aggressive, however, again, he just goes for all 3 of the heads and it will take the Margwa down. Ultimately, I see George winning 10 times out of 10, mid-difficulty. The strength would be an issue for him to overcome. However, he would have more than enough time to overcome it, think of a combat plan to defeat the Margwa, and George is ultimately winning this battle. Also, wow, I've just realised, this video technically has an outro. The first video on my channel to have an outro. George Romero